Caldwell was the kind of man who commanded rooms without speaking. At 38, he was the youngest CEO in his company's history and had doubled its value in just 4 years. Headlines praised him. Investors worshipped him. Employees feared him. But at home, he was a ghost. Amelia Caldwell used to wait for him. Dinners gone cold, wine glasses untouched, silence louder than any argument they never had. He never yelled, he never cheated, he never hit, he just ignored. At first, she thought it was a phase, then a pattern, then a wall too thick to break through. 3 years. That's how long it had been since he last looked her in the eye. 3 years of sleeping in the same house, brushing past each other, exchanging nothing more than perfunctory "I'll be late" texts. She had cried once, curled on the bathroom floor, mascara staining her cheeks. But no more. Now she painted, on smiles, and found comfort in her art. And one day, she quietly packed her brushes, took her canvases, and left. Ethan didn't notice until 3 days later. "Sir, are you still attending the Wallace Foundation Gala tonight?" asked Claire, his executive assistant. He barely looked up. "What's the point? Another charity event for people who want to pat themselves on the back." Claire hesitated. "There's an art exhibition attached, featuring a rising artist. They're sponsoring. Her name is Amelia L. Cal." His head snapped up. "What did you say?" "Amelia L. Callan. It might just be coincidence, but..." He stood abruptly. "Get the car." The limo ride was silent. Ethan's mind was anything. But could it be her? No. Amelia would never go public. She hated attention. Didn't she? He arrived late. The exhibit was already in full swing. Waiters carried champagne flutes and whispered names of artists. But he barely heard a thing. And then, he saw it. The painting stood tall, nearly life-sized. Woman stood with her back to the viewer, wrapped in a silk robe, hair tied loosely. She looked out a window where golden morning light kissed her figure. But in the glass reflection of the window, you could just barely see her face. Her expression wasn't sad. It was gone, like someone who had left the room a long time ago. Ethan moved closer. His breath caught. It was Amelia, not directly, not clearly. But he knew her form like the lines on his palm. He had once kissed every inch of her skin. He had once made her laugh until she cried. How long had it been since he made her smile? A woman nearby noticed him. Striking, isn't it? Amelia's known for emotional realism. This piece is called The Last Goodbye. He swallowed. Hard. She's here? He managed. The woman blinked. Oh, she was, but she doesn't stay long. She hates crowds. Of course. She never liked to be looked at by strangers. Only by him. And he hadn't looked at her in years. It took him 2 weeks to find her. Not through private investigators or threats, but through one of her old friends. He didn't demand. He asked, politely. Quietly. Desperately. Amelia had moved into a small studio apartment above an art cafe downtown. Modest. Clean. Nothing like the mansion they once shared. She answered the door without surprise. "I figured you'd show up," she said, her tone neutral. She looked different. Not glamorous, not wealthy, not desperate. Alive. He cleared his throat. "Amelia, I saw the painting." She crossed her arms. "Which one? I've painted a few heartbreaks." He flinched. "You've been... painting?" "For 2 years. I didn't know." "You didn't ask." The silence settled between them, heavy. "I didn't mean for it to happen," he whispered. "That's the thing, Ethan. You didn't do anything. You didn't yell. You didn't cheat. You didn't even fight. You just stopped seeing me." He stepped forward. "I see you now." She smiled sadly. Too late. That night, Ethan sat in his dark penthouse and stared at their wedding photo. She had been radiant, her smile real. He remembered how her voice cracked when she said, "I do." When had he started turning away from her? When the board wanted quarterly reports? When the investors called at midnight? When growth became more important than gratitude? He had once told her she was his muse. And then he forgot. He sent her flowers. She returned them. He tried calling. She blocked him. But every Sunday he left a sketchbook at her door, blank pages. Each one had a note inside. "For the colors you haven't painted yet." She didn't respond, until week 7. She opened her door and looked at him. "I don't want gifts, Ethan. I know. I don't want apologies. I understand. Why are you here?" He looked at her, not her hair or her skin or her figure. He looked into her eyes. "Because the silence is louder than any words you could say. And I can't hear anything else anymore." She stepped aside. "Just a little. Coffee?" His chest tightened. "Yes." Coffee became conversation. Conversation became truth. He told her about the nights he lay awake, wondering when he'd lost her. She told him about the years she lay next to him, feeling more alone than when she lived alone. He didn't beg. She didn't forgive. But she started to smile again. Just barely. He came every Sunday now, not to fix anything, just to be there. One day she handed him a canvas. It was blank. "Paint something," she said. He laughed awkwardly. "I'm not an artist." She looked at him serious. "You don't have to be. Just feel something." So he painted. Terribly. But he felt. It was raining that evening. They sat on her couch, wine glasses in hand, and watched the city lights flicker. She turned toward him. "Do you know what I missed most?" He shook his head. "Being seen. Not looked at, seen." He didn't speak. Instead, he leaned forward, brushed her cheek with his fingertips, and finally, after 3 long years, looked at her face. Really looked. The lines of worry she carried alone. The shimmer in her eyes that had dulled and was now flickering again. The quiet strength in her jaw. The softness of lips that hadn't smiled for him in far too long. His heart broke and rebuilt at once. "I see you," he whispered, eyes wet. "I never stopped loving you. I just stopped being worthy of it." She nodded, her eyes glassy. Then, only then, did she lean into him. "I never asked you to be perfect, Ethan. I just wanted you to remember I existed." He held her like he would never forget again, and this time, he wouldn't. A year later, Ethan stood in a gallery once more. This time, as Amelia's husband, not just a ghost from her past. The final piece in her latest collection was unveiled. It was called "When He Finally Saw Me." A woman sat on a park bench, paintbrush in one hand, coffee in the other. Sunlight spilled over her face. Her eyes sparkled, and beside her, a man sat. Not holding her, not kissing her, not touching her, just looking at her, as if she was the most extraordinary thing in the world. Because she was.